Okay. So coming back to here and using this one as our answer key then. What I want you to notice is then the following. So when I get myself into my file, and this is the rent roll, I'm sitting here now. I think this one, is this the old one? Let me double check because I thought the new one had a slightly different structure. Here it is. Okay. This one. Yeah. So here's my page 3 right here. Then notice what happens when we start moving along through the next pages. Page 4, and then 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, and 12. Do you see how it doesn't even look like anything different is happening? The thing that's different that's happening, though, is if you look, is it's this. It's the year. Because oftentimes when we're modeling, we model out for 10 years. And so you get a spreadsheet that looks the exact same, where the main value that's changing is year, and then the values within it will change based off of your inputs. So there's a lot of value to a standardized printability to this thing. So the reason I'm taking my time with you to show you all of these different shortcuts. I want this thing to go away. Why is that still sitting there? Hold on, I got to make that go away because that's driving me nuts. I don't want that sitting in the middle of my recording anymore. Where was I? All right, there it goes. Okay, so we built, let me just make sure, is this, oops, is this one yours? Double check. Yeah, this is the only one we're dealing with. Okay. So if I print preview this thing with you right now, look what it looks like. So how can I quickly and easily model out for 10 years? The reason that I showed you all of this control and all this navigation and all these shortcuts is now I know I have a perfect structure for this first piece. So all I need to do now is apply it to the rest of all of my sheets going out to the right. So if you look, I set it up for you in advance. So 2027 runs from I through O. And then we have 2028 running from P through V, and etc. But now that you have all this stuff, I should be able to Control Shift right, Control Shift down. See how that let me grab everything at once? Now I'm going to copy it. Control V. Then I'm going to go out to the far end, and I'm just going to paste it back across this whole section so that I can get it all in the same place at the same time. I see people giving me funny looks, so let me start over, right? From here, Control Shift right, Control down, copy, and then I can just go paste, 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 paste. I'm doing it one at a time for you so you can just see it. But if I wanted to, I could do it all at once. And now I've got my entire structure across the whole thing. And so now I've got everything filled in here. There is another feature I really like, which is called Format Painter. So this time, I'm going to select from B through H. Once I've selected from B through H, yeah, your hand up. Yeah, for right now it is. Yes, thank you for asking. We haven't made any changes yet. From the Home tab, you see the little paintbrush button? It's called Format Painter. If I hit that paintbrush button and then I come right over here, look at what it did for me. is it made everything look gray. I didn't exactly want everything to look gray like that, though. So how can I do it better? One of the most common things, I did it with you all just a second ago, Command or Control Z, undo. And I undo all the time because I make mistakes all the time. So I'm going to undo all that Format Painter stuff that I just did. Oops. Whoa, I held it down too long. Hey, sorry. Whoa, it's like the Matrix. Sorry, my bad. That's what I get for looking up and not looking down. All right. So here we have it. Again, I'm going to highlight just this through base rent, Format Painter, and then I'm going to do it to I. Then I'm going to hit it again. And then I can use my little scroll bar over here, and then I'll do it to 2028. And then I'll Format Painter, and I can do it to 2029, and etc. So that now when I start scrolling through, see how everything is starting to look the same. So I'm using productivity tools on the aesthetics. That's just the Format Painter command. That's all I'm trying to show you right now. There is another set, though. Keisha asked about, should the numbers all be the same? They are for now, but we need to now make a formulaic change to recognize the fact that before I came here in my own personal life, I had to sit down with my landlord and renegotiate our lease, where we had a discussion about how they're doing construction on the building that I live on. And I argued that the construction was going to be disruptive to my lifestyle. They actually started the construction this week, and I'm not there. So I made it seem like, because you're doing construction, it's going to disrupt my lifestyle so much, I need to go to Europe. You should pay for me to go to Europe. And so we had a negotiation about that where he said, I'm not going to pay for you to go to Europe. But he was proposing that my rent increase by 3%. And I said, because you're disrupting my life, I propose 2%. And we ended up at a 2% negotiation outcome where now my rent isn't going up as much. And so in a way, he's kind of paying for my trip. So how does that work from a modeling point of view? Over here in cell N1, can you get yourself into cell N1 for me, please? Another fun gangster command, Control G. Control G lets you do things like type in N1 and it will jump you anywhere on the spreadsheet you want to be. So if I ever say, hey, everybody, can you go to AZ1, please? You can do Control G and it will jump you there. And that way you don't have to navigate with your scroll bar or with the mouse or even with the arrows. So Control G N1, that gets me over here where I have the ability to allocate an increase to my rents for 2027. So that increase would apply to the values that are sitting right now in column M. So I'm going to delete out those values from column M. So that in M4, my new formula is going to be equals. Open your parenthesis, go back to the rent from the previous year. Rosita, you're driving me nuts right now. Oh, great. So how did I delete the whole column? I started right up there in M1, Control Shift down arrow once, and then delete. Yeah. Okay, so the formula in M1 is equals, I want to use the previous year's rent per square foot multiplied by parentheses 1 plus And then I'm going to go up to my N1. And what we saw over here on their keyboards is many of your keyboards are set up so that F2 is your volume control. So you may have to hit FN, F4 to go ahead and lock onto cell N1 so that you are taking F4 times 1 plus the increase. And you're locking that reference onto N1. And as of right now, your formulaic outcome is still 2376. But this I pre-formatted for you as a percent. So if I hit 1, it should go up to 2%. My landlord wanted it to go up to 3%. We eventually negotiated to 2%. So this then becomes a variable input where you can model out based off an assumption for what rents will increase. And a standard annual rent increase is 3%. So once I've got that in there, then I should be able to now copy. And I think I saw what was easier for some of you as that interim step is after you copy, just hold shift and get down to the bottom there and then paste that on in. And I need to now plug my computer in. Why is there no plugger by me? I get to sit closer to you. Don't worry, I'm very nice. It's actually not true. Good to know. How am I going to do this? You know what? We're going to do it like this then. I'm actually going to sit next to you now. I'll go hide in the corner. That way I can play on my phone and no one will notice. Thank you for making sure I didn't break anything. Okay. I'd like you now to all go with me to cell G30. What I'm aiming for again, and if I'm you, because you're not going to be able to, do you need me to push? Oh, thank you for asking. I think I have it set at 3%. Thank you for asking. See how quickly I got to that cell? All right. What cell was I in now? Now I forgot. Oh, look at y'all. I sit closer and she's like, I'm dialed in. All right. On G30, then, I want to sum up everything that's in that column above. And if I'm you, when I'm working at home, this is what I'm starting to look at is how does my work match what's on the spreadsheet? So I'm sitting right over here. This would be G30 on the PDF. So I want to sum up and bold and double underline and green the monthly and the annual right here. So in G30, off of the home, there should be an auto sum button. And I don't remember where that is anymore because I only know the shortcut commands. Where was that? Alt H U. Oh, it's over there. Editing. So under editing, or you may have an icon sitting. So Mac people, right? You should have an icon that looks like that Greek sigma sign. I want you to auto sum everything that's up above. So I'm just summing the entire column above. I think there's a shortcut for auto sum. I don't have it memorized. Auto, what is it? Alt equals is the, let's see. Alt and equals. Very nice. Extra credit right over here today. Alt and equals. I do alt. That's so funny because I don't know the fingering. Alt and equals versus Alt H US enter. Alt equals is 2 presses. Alt H US is 4. So yours is actually better. Well done. Wow, I like it. Alt equals enter. So it's 3. Alt equals versus Alt H US. And so you're still marginal too. Good. Then from here, I want these to have this border format. It's called the top and double bottom. That's a standard US convention to indicate I'm at the end of my summing. And then I want this one to be a nice green, and I want them to all be in bold. Yeah.
So the number goes to this column, not here.
Okay, let's see. I think on yours, though, when you hit enter, you have, let's see, why is that there? Because it looks like this might be merged. And you, there we go.
Thank
you. Hmm. Okay. I'm trying to remember how I did this. Okay, on the bottom. I'm now working on the occupied versus vacant. So down in F32 through H33. First thing I'm going to do, we'll put a nice little box around everything, which is Alt HBS. And I think I have everything in a light gray color in there because I'm going to show you how to match this right here, this occupied versus the vacant. So let's go into cell G33 and we're going to do a quick sum if statement. For those of you who are new to a lot of Excel formulas, here is the way that I learned them to begin with. First thing you have to realize is it's critical to have your data in a certain way. Like, do you see how I have this word vacant sitting there in the rent roll to indicate that there are certain of our suites that have no lease associated with them? So now I want to know what the total of everything that's vacant is. If you go to the formulas menu, from formulas, there is an insert function command. This is the category that has every single formula that you can use in Excel. So type the word SUMIF, sum if, or if yours is in Dutch, it's probably like somme, right? SOMME, is that the word? That's in French. Yeah. But if you do sum if, there should be a formula right here called sum if. I learned my formulas by using the dialog box like this. And I really like this as a good visual indicator of how to do basic formulas. And I do it by reading what this says down below. So part 1, range. What range of cells do we want it to look at? So we want it to look on everything from D4 to D29. Instead of the mouse again, but you can obviously use it, I like the tab key. The tab key moves me between fields quickly. So in my criteria, the criteria I want is the word vacant. So I need you to, oops, I typed that terribly, to type the word vacant inside quotation marks. So we're asking it to look between D4 and D29 to see if it can find the word vacant. And if so, we want it to sum the range that's all of these square footages sitting in B4 to B29. So that when you click OK, it should tell us right now, and we'll double check our math, that 11,340 square feet are sitting vacant. Alt MF should be B4 to B29. Okie doke. He's laughing at me now. Yours doesn't work? Okay. I can come peek at it. Yeah, it should be 11,340. Okay. Thank you for helping. Fleur, is it okay now? Good. Okay. Therefore, how much is occupied? Equals, I'm going to go over to my 61,303 and fix it to that number because we have no intentions of increasing our total building square footage, and subtract off the 11,340 that is vacant so that we have 49,963 is currently occupied. That represents equals the 49,963 divided by the fixed reference of 61,303 will tell me in this year how much of my building has tenants versus how much does not. And in this year, I have 81.5% of my building is occupied. And now when I copy and paste, now watch what happens when I copy paste. Uh-oh, I got the right number, but what the hell is that? It's the percentage that's not occupied, but do you see what it did to my formatting there? Because when you copy paste, it copies and pastes both the formula and the formatting. So watch this. Start there, copy. Go down one, and the command is Control and Alt. I'm pressing them down with my two fingers at the same time, and then V. Control Alt V says paste this thing special, and I want it to paste only the formulas. Control Alt V, then F lets me paste just the formulas, and now it shows me that without wrecking what my spreadsheet formatting was with the boxes. If you're not following on some of the shortcuts, here's what I just did. I started here and I copied it. Another way to find that is under this paste area. It's paste. It's called paste formulas. It's right here. Copy and then paste formulas. So the great and annoying thing about Excel, there's always like 3 different ways to do something. The great way is that you can customize. The terrible way is like Fleur's way is different than Chris's way, is different than Frick's way, is different. So you find your preference. I try to teach it to the most common denominator. Okay? All right. So just to get our numbers to match, let's go ahead and make sure that we have 0 in our increase for now for 2027. And then let's see what happens if we just copy and paste this over. Let's see if that works for our references. Let's copy and paste our totals, and let's copy and paste our occupied and vacancies, and then take a look and see whether or not it's evaluating things properly. Because my vacant should be now, is it looking at the right place? Look at my sum if there, looks good. How about over here? Oh, yay! Because we let the sum if stay relative, it went ahead and updated the pointers to be for 2027. But because we put our square footage as fixed, it's going back and looking at the beginning. So we did it right, and now you should just be able to copy and paste it everywhere across that spreadsheet. So I'm going to show one last thing, and then I'm going to give you a few minutes to work on your own. Another favorite command, under the View menu. Under View, you're usually under Page Break Preview. Some of you might be working in Page Layout. I hate Page Layout. Most of you are working in Normal. But before I use a spreadsheet for distribution, I always go to Page Break Preview. Alt-WI. Because of this. Look at this here. If I go ahead and look, it's telling me right now that when I print my spreadsheet, page 1 is going to end at column F right here. And page 2 is going to end in column M. That doesn't make good sense from a print point of view. Wouldn't it make more sense if I had all 1 year on one page? So from this view, you should be able to come up to this dotted blue line, and you see the way my cursor changed from being a plus to being a bidirectional arrow. I should be able to now, and I have to use the mouse for this, to highlight it so it's a bidirectional arrow. I hold down my left mouse, and now I can drag it over there. So now page 1 goes through the end of 2026. But look, page 2 is all the way at Q. So now I can pull that one back over to 2027. And then I can do the same thing for 2028 and etc. So that when I go to print this thing, and if I give you a larger view, here is 2026. Next page, there's 2027. Next page, there's 2028. And now everything is starting to look like something I could print. Just like in the example that I provided for you. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording right now. And I'd like to give you all the